Hey, you guys. I would normally say, hey, Jackson, or he would say, hey, Roz.
Hey, Roz.
But as you can tell, that's not Jackson. It's a much more beautiful sound. No offense, Jackson. It's none other than friend of the show, Sarah Garrison.
Hi, guys.
Sarah's going to be my co-host tonight, or this morning, for those of you listening on Friday when this drops. And you might know her from her Instagram or her Twitter handle, SG Likes to Party.
SG Like to Party.
Oh, Like to Party.
Mm-hmm.
So Sarah, I would describe as a longtime listener, strong supporter of the pod.
I love the pod. I'm honored to be here.
We're honored to have you as our first. You will forever be the first guest host of the pod.
I love that legacy.
Yeah, and I think that you are really setting a high precedent, like with who we're going to discuss today.
Well, let's not speak on that too early, Roz.
No, but I don't know. I think it's going to be a good episode, and I think you're someone who also likes to practice self-care. You did something really impressive yesterday. You put together a dresser.
I put together a dresser, and it took several hours, and it was tedious, but I did it, and I feel empowered. Now I can take on the world.
Yeah. Oh, for those of you who are like, where's Jackie Sue? Jackie Sue is really busy.
He's just a busy little bee.
Busy little bee.
You know how it is. New York, fast-paced.
Yeah, you're
We're on the
working,
go.
you're twerking, cashing checks, making moves. Jackson couldn't make it tonight because he's cashing a check. Sarah and I just made some tacos. We're sipping some tequila sodas.
We have direct deposit.
we have direct deposit, correct. So I want to start off tonight with a game because get everyone to know who you are based on some of these questions. I feel like is telling. So what we're going to do is the game is called Blind Item Improv. Guessing. So what I'm going to do is I'm on the Daily Mail's website, which is the best and the trashiest and often uses descriptors of females' bodies in their headlines.
Okay.
So I'm just going to look on the female today. Yes, female. So I'm going to give you, a little bit of a mashup of a headline from the Daily News, and you're going to guess who it's about.
Okay.
Vivacious winner. This tennis star rocks a white bodycon dress with husband at premiere of
Serena Williams.
Yeah, I guess I kind of gave it away, but it's I just had to read this one. Wasn't that good? It says champion curves. Serena Williams rocks a white bodycon dress with Alexis Ohanian at New York premiere. What?
I was so nervous. I was like, I don't know anything about sports.
Country bumpkin tweets about karma amid reports ex-wife, more talented singer-songwriter, is dating a married man.
Oh, Blake Shelton?
Yes. Blake Shelton tweets about karma.
When we were talking about who we were going to do today, he was on my list, but I thought I didn't know enough about him, but he's been saying some things lately.
It's like he has Gwen Stefani in his life. A man of the woods, Gwen Stefani.
Man of the woods. No, she keeps talking about in interviews how much she's looking forward to either having a baby with him or wanting to get married. And he has been saying, I don't think we'll get married anytime soon. And I'm like, you guys should talk about this before you do your interviews.
Yeah, there was this talk show note about her learning that one of his exes was obsessed with her.
Yeah.
And I was
posters up in her room.
I was like, that's not a cute story. It's not.
It's not.
Not a cute look. Parisian popcorn shop owner hilariously reveals she inadvertently flashed a stranger.
Oh, I don't know that one. Should I know that one?
Well, does Yummy Pop ring a bell?
No.
She's an Avenger?
Okay. Scarlett Johansson?
Yes. So
okay.
You know she was married to a Frenchman?
Yes.
So she has a popcorn shop.
I feel like I've
Paris.
probably heard mumblings of that.
But I literally the page auto refreshed and now I don't know what it was, but it was she tells a hilarious story about her inadvertently flashing a stranger. These are the headlines on the front page of Daily Mail.
Just weird because she just made her debut with Colin Jost. Red carpet debut yesterday.
Yeah, that girl loves love.
She loves love.
She loves it. Okay, and for our final one to bring us home, not so small anymore. This actress just got her new body accessory one day after she's freed on $5 million bond. Not so small anymore.
Okay. What? Not so small. Can you read it to me again?
Yeah. Actually, I'll change the wording. This small actress has moved on to bigger, sexier things. She's recently received a new pair of jewelry for her ankle after being released on a $5 million bond.
Oh, the one from Smallville. Oh, that's why you were saying
small.
small. Oh, what is her name? I can't remember.
Allison Mack. I just feel like you're a CW girl.
Yes,
you should know that Allison Mack.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Allison Mack.
Did you see all of those tweets that she did to Emma Watson?
Oh my God, those are so good. She did and Kelly Clarkson. She did one at Kelly Clarkson. Wasn't I've got this cool women's empowerment group that you'll like.
Those were big reaches. Maybe lean a little bit, aim a little bit lower there.
Well, thanks for playing. As you can tell, I'm not as good of a game master as Jackson.
No, it was great. It was a fun game.
You did pretty well.
Thanks. You gave me a lot of hints, so I appreciate that.
The fun thing about this is that whenever I do games, it's truly off the cuff. So that's why it was just as exciting for me to come across these articles. But I saw the Allison Mack thing when I first opened, and I was like, if someone's going to appreciate a sex cult of a CW star, it's Sarah Garrison.
You know that's true.
So, Sarah, I asked actually you to bring us a celebrity this week because we're all about self-care through celebrity, and we all have people that are problematic that we stand for, which is an internet term for those of you that don't know. It means you really support them, even though they're problematic.
Right.
So this person you brought.
So I brought to the table Mr. Kanye West.
Man of the hour, I guess.
Man of past couple of days. He's been prevalent in the media. He's been tweeting up a storm. And I guess my issue with him was that I've always just been a Kanye apologist. I always have. And why do I do that? I don't know why. And I think I might have reached my limit. Really?
Okay. I'm excited to hear that because I, too, am a Kanye apologist. Because as I feel like we're going to touch on, we're so permissive of his behavior because we're like, oh, it's I think some of it's in jest, or I don't know if he's really meaning it, or it's there's this bigger intention behind it, and it's not.
And, once in a while he says things that are funny or that they're trying to better the world.
Right.
But it's how much can I forgive if he, 1 out of 10 things he says isn't horrible?
Right. But so I'm curious as to have you been a fan of Kanye since College Dropout?
So yeah, I used to watch MTV used to actually play music videos, I think all night and into the morning. And when I used to get ready for school, I would watch music videos. And I think All Falls Down, Slow Jams, The New Workout Plan, and what else is on that album? I don't know. They were all, Through the Wire, were all circulating in really high rotation. And I was like, who is this guy? But I'd watch all of those videos, and that's when I got to know him, fell in love with him.
I fell in love with him on TRL. That's so funny.
Did he make an appearance?
He made an appearance, and he had I've literally looked for this appearance because it must have been around the same time where I was like, who is this guy? Why is he on TRL? He has this backpack. He's kind of nervous. He's talking about Jay-Z. He's talking about producing beats with Jay-Z. And I'm like, how have I never heard of this guy? I was fascinated. And he was talking about his tattoos. I was just like.
It's actually crazy thinking about it because I thought the All Falls Down video was so captivating because I haven't seen it in years, but I'm pretty sure he just follows a woman around town, and then I'm like, that was Stacey Dash, and
just a woman,
but it's in current what's going on right now. Yeah, so it's
and the title of the song, When It All Falls Down,
and their views are kind of aligning these days.
So when did you start? When do you feel like you want to dive in for your litany of offenses? Where do you think for you he's done something that like, I just feel like he's done so many things that random people have been like offended by.
Right.
So I'm an apologist. So a lot of like, I'm with you where like a lot of it, I'm just like, whatever.
I don't care. Yeah.
Whatever. Like bigger fish to fry.
I guess, I mean, I honestly wasn't even that offended by the Taylor thing. Like,
yeah,
I guess that's the first thing where it's like his first really problematic big news thing that happened.
Well, wasn't the George Bush thing before then?
Oh, right. Oh,
but
my God.
like,
yeah. But again, so that one, I don't think there's anything to apologize for.
Right. It's a statement that
George Bush doesn't care about black people. And if you...
We know his mom didn't.
Right. What did she say again?
She said, so the title, just like Barbara Bush calls evacuees better off, September 7th, 2005. As President Bush battled criticism over the response to Hurricane Katrina, his mother declared a success for evacuees who were underprivileged anyway, saying on Monday that many of the poor people she had seen while touring a Houston relocation site were faring better than before the storm hit.
So yeah, I think he was
learned behavior.
It was completely fair for him. Sure. So, I mean, for those who we're referring to the time he was on was it a telethon?
Yeah, for Hurricane Katrina, a telethon.
And he and Mike Myers, he deviated from the script and said, George Bush doesn't care about black people, straight into the camera.
With Mike Myers, who was like,
yeah. And it was, I guess you could call it unprofessional.
Do you think that's when like most parents became aware of him?
Probably.
Right? Like,
yeah.
Because some people would say it's the Taylor Swift thing. Like,
but I think that probably made.
But like that's the VMAs. Like I don't like anyone feeling bad about themselves. Like he made Taylor feel bad. Like you know what I mean? Like I don't like anyone's like moment being dimmed, but I'm also like it's the fucking VMAs.
It's the VMAs.
Oh my God, I swore I took Jackson's place.
And I know that was Jackson's piece of advice. Try really hard not to swear. Yeah, but honestly, even in his speech, he was still really apologetic to Taylor. And I was like, see, he likes you. He just likes
he comes
Beyonce
up with his
more.
Hennessy.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, he was drunk. Like,
but see, we're already apologizing because, like, can you imagine if like Courtney Love went up and did that to someone? We'd be like, bitch. I mean, or maybe not.
Maybe not because it's Courtney Love. So yeah. Maybe somebody I like less than Courtney Love. I guess if Taylor were to do the opposite or to do that to Kanye, I mean, can you imagine?
Yeah, I can't because I just don't think she would. Like, I just sadly, at least at that time, she didn't have the confidence, I think. You know what I mean? Like, she's a teen girl. Yeah. Not that, like, teens, especially with now, like, can't be confident and strong, but, like, that's a lot to go up against as a country singer singing pop music.
She was a country singer then when she was winning for You Belong With Me, which is one of her first crossovers.
Yeah. It always comes back to Taylor.
Always. I was not going to come on this podcast and not bring up Taylor Swift.
Honey, you would not be allowed on this podcast if you did not come up with someone related to Taylor.
Then should we dive into the whole Taylor saga?
Yeah, let's go into Taylor's saga because I think it's important for listeners to know that we're all Taylor fans. Like everyone who I feel like is in our immediate group of friends. Actually, I know there are people who don't like Anne Louise, does not like Taylor Swift. Karen doesn't. I apologize for Taylor, but I'm very angry with Taylor and I'm very frustrated with her, and we'll get into that. But it's like this. It's interesting where these two intersect because you're fans of both of them as well,
right? And it's also some of the things that I am angry at Taylor about, I wasn't mad at Kanye about.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's messed up. Why do I forgive him for so much? And it's just because I'm like, oh, he's kooky. He's a genius.
He's a genius.
Okay, so I guess it is worth mentioning between Katrina and Taylor, Kanye's mom died. And I think that's sort of like impacted him in Donda West.
Donda West.
I mean, he references her all the time. He misses her constantly, and
I thought that softened him after she died, and he sang like "Jesus Walk with Me" at the Grammys.
Right?
Is that the Grammys?
But I think a lot of his behavior is also because he blames. He said in an interview if he had never moved to LA, his mom never would have, gotten into the plastic surgery lifestyle, and probably never would have died. And he blames himself for her death. And I think that might have changed his behavior in a lot of ways.
But so it's...
This is me apologizing for him again.
It's like I'm struggling for language right now because I'm like, my mouth wants to go in so many different directions. Like, we could go in here. I mean, just starting that we're apologizing for like this like sad boy.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, it's a tragedy, but it happens to everyone at some point.
Yeah, and he didn't become better for it. He like went worse, and like, not that I think the Taylor Swift thing's like horrible. I just like, more just like, dude, I feel like you could have come up, like, I don't really care because I have so many issues with Taylor now.
Yeah.
But it's like, in occasions like that, I feel like it's hard to look back and be like, well, now I'm like, whatever with it. Because I imagine if I was in that position, like, if you take out like the racial politics of everything, it just is like having your moments taken from you. But I'm also like, you're Taylor Swift, you have like huge moments. I don't know. It's like,
but she wasn't that big then, and she was so young.
And she was white.
Right. But Beyonce did give her moment back, right?
Yeah, because Beyonce's like an angel. She's like, she wants everyone, she brings the peace.
Yeah.
To quote her later album, or Jay-Z's, nobody wins in the Family Feuds.
So true.
You know what I mean?
You know, it's really sad.
What? Oh, sorry, I didn't realize. In high school, somebody was this boy that I liked was like, "Do you own late registration?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Will you burn it for me?" And I was like, "Sure." So then I had to go home and buy it. Because you were trying to be so cool.
Yeah. But I mean, then I liked the album, so.
Yeah, and you were like, wait. I mean, what's funny about stories like that is like sometimes like, yeah, the lesson is like, don't change for anyone. But like you were introduced to a really great album.
You better yourself when you change for a man.
Yeah. Case in point, and maybe Kim is that way too when we get to theirs, because
oh my God.
You know, I don't know. It's a hot topic for me. So when would you say, like, so if you didn't really have an issue with this Taylor thing, like when, and you don't have an issue with the George Bush thing, are we at another Colin Farrell where you actually don't find him problematic at all?
Oh, you got my email. You guys, I love Colin Farrell, and I didn't know that till the podcast. It swayed me to love him.
Well, Jackson and I recorded 3 times, and the second time we recorded it, the first time I was like annoyed because I was just like, I'm swearing because Jackson's not here.
You didn't give the hard C or K. You're fine. I
was just like, I get it. Your person's better than me, blah, blah. And then the second one, I was like, I love him. And then the first one, I was like annoyed with Jackson, but then I was like, I think I love him. And then the second time I was pissed. And the third time I was like, dude's got issues, but he's working through them.
Yeah.
But we also can't be so permissive of this behavior, because when you're a shitty person, you're shitty.
So I guess I started really questioning him, I think, during the Life of Pablo era.
Okay, so that's like kind of late.
It's late. I was apologizing forever. Okay, you know what? No, I did not like the way. I did not like the way he treated Amber Rose. He started dating Amber Rose, who was a model, right after. And a stripper.
And a video girl. Video vixen.
Post 808s and Heartbreak. And I think they dated for, I don't know, a year or two.
It seemed like a while, because she like was on the glow up.
And he referenced her in a couple songs, now I'm thinking. And I think he pretty much sort of put her in the spotlight for sure.
Yeah, I mean, she was in like a Ludacris video, and I think she was a video vixen, and she was working at that, why can't I remember? There's like this really, really famous strip club in Atlanta, or was Black China? They're like best friends, and they have similar stories. Maybe that was Black China.
Burned by the Kardashian Wests.
Yes.
But anyway, so they ended up breaking up.
They should be Thelma and Louise.
Oh, love that.
Yeah.
And they got into some sort of, I think it was on Twitter, a Twitter feud.
Well, I think it all started when they broke up and Amber said Kim was a homewrecker.
Right.
So then I feel like, right? And then he got defensive.
Basically, she blamed Kim for their breakup.
Right.
Which is like, okay, maybe. I mean, Kanye said since the second he saw Kim, he was in love with her. So I think if she became available, for sure. But anyway, Kanye got defensive, and when they broke up, he was denying that anything ever happened while he was with Amber.
I was
right?
like, wait, what?
Right? Because he
he was.
He said something along the lines of, I had to shower 30 times after getting with you before I could ever be with Kim.
This will be the thing that we'll discuss again later in the episode. On The Breakfast Club, West decided to insert himself in the beef with the Kardashians and Amber Rose, because Amber, I think, was defending Blac Chyna, her ride or die, whose ex started dating Kylie.
Right. And Amber also had a problem with Tyga dating. Kylie was underage at the time.
Right.
And
she was just like, this is messed up.
Yeah. And then, do you remember the whole ass play scenario that happened?
What? I'm not. You're going to have to refresh my memory.
Okay. So they got in this big beef over
Kanye
this.
or the Kardashians?
Kanye. Well, Khloe was involved, but Kanye and Amber got in this big beef because Amber thought that Kylie was too young to be dating Tyga. And Kanye was the first one who came to Tyga's defense.
Oh, was he the one who basically said, like, you have to groom young girls? Like, he made some comment like, well, when you're there first, like, you put in the work.
Right.
He groomed her.
Yeah. And somehow they got into this huge fight, and Khloe got involved. You know, she was called a stripper, and they were, you know, calling each other whores, and Amber brought up Ray J and all of this stuff.
Oof.
But Amber in this process somehow brought up that Kanye really liked ass play when they were dating.
Oh my God.
Which
yes.
is like, I mean, she was trying to say it to embarrass him. There's obviously nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, there's nothing, but it's like for someone who's like,
and then Kanye felt the need to then defend himself. It tweeted something along the lines of like, I've never been into that. That's not my thing. Like,
oh my God.
It just broke down into this completely ridiculous fight.
Cut to Drake, who loves ass play.
Yeah, and thank you, Drake. We love you, Drake.
So I'm actually seeing some tweets in 2015 because, like, one of the things, like, we're Kardashian apologists as well, and so like that's like another episode. But one of the great things about Amber is that she's real. She's like truly for women, and even in these like little feuds.
I think it was after her breakup with Kanye when she finally realized, like, I am a feminist.
Yeah, and she was like, wait, you're a dick.
Yeah.
So he says this 30 showers comments, and she's like, wait, 30 showers? But Kim let Ray J nut on her. ... Never mind. At Kanye West, this is my moment to let the world know who you really are and the things you've done to me. After all those years, I never switched on you. Like, I think that's great. She's like, I'm like, she exits it, but in the best way.
Yeah.
I'll leave that up to the Kardashians to humiliate you when they're done with you.
Yeah. Okay. She got a little petty, and then she reeled it in and was like, whatever. And he's always going to get overly defensive.
But, I mean, I think that, like, in our praise of Amber Rose, and I think this is what happens, too, is because Kanye is involved with, like, some very strong and influential women, is that we're quick to just be like, oh, my God, I love these women, and get sidetracked. But it's like, he was such a dick and so disgusting. Like, his comments on Kylie.
Right.
And, like, when I'm saying grooming for people who, like, aren't familiar with the term, it's like that's what pedophiles do, is they groom these girls. They don't do anything while they're underage, but they get, like, very borderline close to them, and then when they turn 18, they're, like, ready. You know, it's manipulative. And
right.
So he does that, and he also, but, like, everyone else views it as, like, oh, he's just protecting the family. And then Amber is just trying to make this
and then along the same vein with Amber Rose, I think this is even, I mean, he was with Kim at the time, but he went on that huge rant against Wiz Khalifa, you know, over his ex.
You let a stripper trap you.
Right.
Oh, because Amber and Wiz have a baby.
They have a baby. And then, yeah, he said something along the lines of, like, I bet you, whenever you see your baby, you remember that, you know, a stripper trapped you. And it's,
but that's the thing. It's a Kanye for some of his lyrics, and I don't know if Kanye's ever been described as woke. I mean, he has his moments where, like,
right, he has his moments, and
right.
That's why I think I apologize so much, because he once in a while says something sort of poignant.
But it's also like, but most of it, but he still says like bitch all the time, and he uses all this like derogatory.
Okay, so let's get into, should we get into famous then?
Yeah, I mean, do we want to? I mean, I feel like one thing I do want to note, like, about these women in Kanye's life is that they're always better than him.
Right.
Which it might be like that we like these strong women, so we also like, because they gave their stamp of approval. I'm just like seeing this picture of Amber Rose and Kim, their selfie that squashed the beef. Because nobody wins when the family feuds. My new tramp stamp.
I know. And then, but, you know, he's feuding with Jay-Z. So, well, I'm looking at my little timeline here. The one thing we skipped was hashtag no disrespect to Ben Affleck, which was, which I look at that as so comical and so funny. And, you know, like the internet took that hashtag and ran with it. And it was so, like, I think even Jennifer Garner was using it. And it's like,
yeah. So this is the thing, is because Kanye seems so sincere when he tweets a lot of stuff, and then it's like, oh, then it's a total joke, and then he's in on the joke, or then he's not in on the joke, and then he goes after Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah,
is what you're
the whole
talking about.
thing was because Jimmy Kimmel played it, you know, made light of an interview Kanye did, and Kanye couldn't take the joke.
And then Kanye came on the show,
right,
and gave like an infamous,
like very much.
It was so awkward.
Yeah,
but Jimmy could not have been kinder to Kanye, and was like, said that he had met Kanye on a Southwest Airlines flight when Kanye flew to go, like, they had a mutual friend or something that they were going out to their wedding, and Kanye was on a Southwest flight. And he's like, and that's why he's like, that was for one of the moments for me as an apologist. I was like, he's real. And yeah, Jimmy was like, I know the type of man you are. He's like, so that's why I want to like finish this speech. Like, you're the person who literally flies on Southwest to get to someone's wedding.
There was a, when I was doing my research today, I was reading all these articles about Kanye. And there was this one time where he was in New Orleans at a business meeting at a restaurant on Bourbon Street. And there was a bachelorette party going on in the same restaurant. And he sent over bottles of champagne and was just like, I think this is really fun that this bachelorette party is happening. And then agreed to take a photo with them. And it's just like, he's sweet.
But then it's like, we're truly being like these tiny moments.
I know. But I'm like, because he's such a grump all the time, I'm like, the reason I apologize is because his little moments of like niceties or whatever, I'm like, they mean so much more.
Well, and I
which is just me and my messed up thinking.
When you believe in the genius.
Yeah.
I think you're more forgiving of these like little things, right? Because with Kanye, it sometimes seems like we're only seeing part of the picture. And so when we like see him on Jimmy Kimmel, and Jimmy Kimmel's giving of like, dude, like when I've met you, this is my interpretation of you. And then for you to come after me is really shocking, because it seems like there's this disconnect. Because I don't think you're this type of person. Like, you're really caring, you're really giving. So then people like us who are apologists are like, oh, right, like this is who he really is. And this is like his persona.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And like, oh, he is on the Kardashians and he's so shy and he's so awkward and he doesn't like to be on camera. That's him.
Yeah.
But
it's like, oh, but he's a huge narcissist and an egomaniacal.
So I think that this famous is a good entry point to kind of segue us into like this week and his like madness.
Right.
Because as you mentioned, like after the Taylor Swift thing, that was like huge. Taylor has been riding on that for years.
He did. He apologized. He sort of went quiet for a while. He felt genuinely really bad, I think.
And then they genuinely seemed to become friends.
They did. She presented his Video Vanguard Award at the VMAs a different year. And they seemed cool. They seemed fine. And they were. Until she needed
validation. She pulled a Kanye. She
needed press. No, she needed a different narrative because she was.
Oh, because this was when she started getting all of that hate because
of Hiddleston, because she was overexposed. Oh
my God, she was overexposed, so she needed to change the narrative. So they were. I think it's important to note that everything was good between them. Yeah. Because like when we go into Famous. Do you remember the lyric?
I do.
I do.
I think me and Taylor might still have sex. Why? I made that bitch famous.
That's so good. I mean, it's such a funny line. And he had said Taylor was fine. She was in on the joke.
Yeah, and I mean, and we saw the receipts. Kim posted it on Snapchat.
But so Taylor fans were I feel like it's important to preface, like, that song came out, there was pushback, like, oh my God, how dare you? And he was like, no, like, I respect my friendships. Right. Like, we're good. And then Taylor was like, no. There was no phone call.
There was no phone call, and I never agreed to you calling me a bitch.
It's like, honey.
And
do not come from the Kardashians, because those bitches save their receipts, scan them, and make copies.
Remember when Austin Swift, Taylor's brother,
burned his Yeezys?
Yeah. Like, okay, drama queen. Like, we get it.
Someone else who wants their 15 minutes.
I know. And he's been trying. That's definitely something the Kardashians do better than Taylor.
Yeah.
But then I think what she ended up saying in the recorded phone call was, I think it was, use whatever wording you think's best. It's not like there's one that offends me and one that doesn't. I think it was something like that.
Right. And she said, it's going to be funny is when you win a Grammy, I'll be in on the joke. And
right.
But because he had also said, sorry to cut you off, in that conversation when he was like, I value friendships more than a song lyric.
Yeah.
And like, we were all like, collective, like, a heart flutter. Us apologists.
Okay, but Roz, so you said, he's been calling women bitches in his songs. Do you find offense to I made that bitch famous?
No, because in that way,
yeah, it's like,
I think it's the whole conceit of the song. And I even feel like Amber Rose is in that video, and I think she's one of the
she's one of the video bodies. Is full of, like, are they
naked wax figures? So it's Donald Trump is one of them.
Right.
Kim Kardashian, Ray J, Taylor Swift, Amber Rose. And he does have a line that says, I feel like Amber Rose still owe me sex. So all of it is kind of funny. Like, it's almost him putting to bed these feuds in a literal bed.
You know what you're not mentioning, though, is that the other two people in that video are Rihanna and Chris Brown. And he puts them next to each other, and it's just very sort of uncomfortable, because it's like, no, that's not something we can forgive at all.
No. But that's what I mean. It's like, there are things that it's like, oh, well, these women forgive him, so why shouldn't we? Like the whole Taylor thing, but then we realize Taylor's a liar.
Right.
And so with, like, the famous thing, I feel like Kanye comes out on top.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's like
Kanye won that fight.
Yeah, because she was like, you're going to come for me.
But I also think the video was unnecessary.
It was like, no.
I
feel like it was a waste of money.
It was a waste. Yeah, because he spent his own money on those wax figures. I think it was hundreds of thousands of dollars.
What do you do with those after?
God, I don't want to know.
In storage? Do Hopefully. They sell them?
I hope they're not in home.
Maybe. So I feel like that's something that that divided people again. And then we get into, like, the Kardashian years, where he's like, he takes himself from the spotlight. It's almost like it being with the most famous woman in the world, he wanted more privacy.
I think that's one of the things that made me like him more, though, was his love story with Kim.
I believe they're in love.
Oh, absolutely. And how he says he fell in love with her the second he saw her. And he waited through Chris Humphries, and I don't know. I think it's really beautiful.
I think they are perfectly matched. They're both very cunning.
I think Kim more so than him, but
yeah. But I mean, I used to think he was, but then, like, the more as we get into this, I'm like,
he's just a child that says
you're a child.
I can't be managed.
I'm nobody's client.
But then it's like, my wife told me I had to explain my
Yeah. Okay, so before we get into that,
right, yeah, like, I'm sorry.
No. I mean, I think it's important to bridge the gap with this Kardashian stuff. He, like, removes himself from the spotlight. And so then we're all like, oh my God, Kanye is an artist. He's an artist.
He also called Kim one of the top 10 most beautiful women in the history of humanity. And I'm like, that's so sweet.
That is really sweet. She's very beautiful. And I just have really appreciated their relationship. I mean, Sam and I, the only thing we disagree about is Kim Kardashian. He doesn't think they're in love, and he doesn't think she's pretty.
Well, Sam and I are going to have words after this.
He had to sleep on the couch for 3 weeks. because I think there's something interesting with his relationship to fame in that he almost seems like he has like a Warholian view of fame, where it's like this high-low culture type thing. I don't know why I'm just drawing this connection, but I feel like he's obsessed with the idea of fame.
Oh, absolutely.
You know
he
what
loves
I mean?
it, but then he also rejects it.
And he's obsessed also, I think, with the cycle, which is also part of his attraction to Kim, is like how she's created this fame and created this fandom and is so in control of her own story and her own narrative.
Right.
Which makes it so interesting with his, I don't even want to use the word meltdown because I don't know if it's fair to use. It's just like him. It started with Donald Trump.
Right.
When was that? Was that after he was elected?
Okay, so his first.
I mean, Donald Trump made a
so
cameo in
it
Famous.
Started, right. November 2016 was obviously the election, and then that's when I think Kanye said his first. He didn't vote, but he said if he did vote, he would have voted for Trump.
Right, even though his wife and the Kardashians threw a thing for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
And he still says he loves Hillary.
And he said that doesn't mean that I don't think that Black Lives Matter or that he's not a believer in women's rights. He just said that people have the right to vote for whoever they want to vote for. That's the right to vote. That's our right.
Okay, I agree with you, but you didn't vote, so just shut up.
and then it was shortly after this, weeks later, maybe days. That's when he was hospitalized at UCLA.
Right, which we were to believe was from exhaustion.
At the time was for depression and paranoia and exhaustion. But just recently, in the past 2 days, he said that it's for...
Well, we were told, through the grapevine of he randomly called Ebro at Hot 197 or
Hot 97. And then it was, reiterated to us through
Ebro or Charlemagne that it was opioids, not on an interesting thing that I was reading is if that is the case, then the insurance for his canceled tour, he owes that money then.
Oh, that's crazy.
Because it's not that's not covered in it. I think it was a page 6 thing I was reading. It was if that's actually true, he gets into some dicey water. Insurance covered the cancellation, but because it was illness. I mean, you could obviously argue if he was addicted, addiction is a disease, blah, 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 but apparently it's not covered. I mean, I don't know the full legal thing of it, but I thought that was kind of interesting. And so with that, we were oh, Kanye met Donald Trump and now he's hospitalized for paranoia.
Right.
He was out of his mind when he did that.
And then he got out, and in February he deleted his Trump tweets. So we were oh, he lost his dang mind.
Oh, Kanye, you were a kook. You don't realize the ramifications of these things.
Right. And then this whole time I'm and he's with Kim, and Kim is a outright Hillary supporter.
And I'm sorry, but Kim Kardashian West does not get enough credit. When the New York Times allowed a Armenian genocide denier a column in the New York Times, she took out a full-page print ad in the Sunday edition, calling out the New York Times for allowing that space and how damaging that is and how offensive it is for all the people that were perished. And she's a really good Armenian American.
She is. She's a great Armenian. And I mean, Kim Kardashian, one of the most famous people in the world, went to the March for Our Lives. Mm-hmm. And I think, to be fair, so did Kanye.
But we were discussing this earlier. Not that there were different people at March for Our Lives versus the Women's March.
That's true.
And it was because some people didn't see
That's very true.
March for Our Lives as political. They were this is just a basic human right that we should be able to send our kids and not have to worry about them being shot up. Some people were still there advocating for guns. I'm a gun owner and I just support...
safety regulations.
Or so I thought that was interesting, but I don't. So that brings us up. So we're talking about the opioids, but this is he wasn't on Twitter. When did he reactivate it? Was it deleted?
I don't know. I guess maybe he went quiet. Oh, I skipped the part where he actually did meet with Donald Trump.
Oh, wait, we did skip over that. So he met with him before.
After he was hospitalized.
Wait, that photo was after? I thought that was before.
I think it was December 2016.
But then he deleted it in February.
Yeah, he met with Trump at Trump Tower, but it's since been referred to sort of as just like a glorified photo shoot. I don't think they really actually met or talked about anything.
No shit.
He said at the time they discussed multicultural issues.
It's just like leaving that there, like, okay.
I know. But again, I've just been ignoring that this whole time because I'm like, oh, he was mentally ill. He deleted his tweets. Like, we forgive him. But I don't think I should.
No, because I think if anything, and it's something we like discussed on their first episode of the podcast, is that the idea of celebrity has been so downplayed, and even people like the Kardashians are dismissed, or so much of pop culture is dismissed, but we literally have a reality TV star as our president who has conned us all into thinking that, not all of us, but like, you know, most of America, that we still describe him as a businessman. He's not a businessman.
Right.
He's not. He's never run a successful business.
Right.
It's always just been a brand that's unsuccessful. Like the Kardashians are way more successful.
I was
than,
just going to say, you know who can run a successful business?
Kris Jenner.
And you know who can't? Remember Kanye West and his, $48 million of debt?
Oh, that was his last rant. That was the one before his exhaustion. Thanks, Mezcal. Because I even hate to call these meltdowns if it's like, is it not
especially, I mean, in light of Kim's tweets today.
Right.
She's very much, don't call them meltdowns. Don't say it's anything about mental illness. This is just Kanye being Kanye.
So one of my least favorite quotes is boys will be boys.
Oh, yeah. It's awful.
And I feel like that Kanye's just being Kanye.
Kanye's being Kanye. Right.
It's like, of course he's contrarian, and of course he's like pushing the buttons. Like, he's an original thinker. He's a genius.
Right.
So we're, of course,
Kanye's living in the future.
Yeah, and we'll think of him as a genius in a few years. And of course, like, we don't, and I do agree. She's like, you don't have to agree with your partner and everything.
Right.
And she also doesn't have to defend him, but then she goes on to defend him, and you're like, girl, supporting someone or even making light of supporting someone who's done so much damage and who thinks it's nothing, this being Donald Trump, to just like, your words actually have repercussions. Right. And supporting someone who continually oppresses and continues to like marginalize people is problematic.
Absolutely.
And so it's not just like us being like, there's problems obviously with us liking Taylor Swift.
Yeah, though, you know, earlier I was saying, so Taylor Swift, I always have this thing against Taylor because she never came out as anti-Trump ever. And her influence.
Silence is violence.
Silence is violence. She had so many people that probably would have gone and voted if she was like, you guys vote for Hillary. And she never said anything. And I'm like, and I've been holding this against her for years. And Kanye has been actively supporting Trump. You know, he did this in 2016. And I completely was like, look at this kooky guy. Because he doesn't mean it.
Because we view it as kooky, but it's not.
It's not. Especially, I mean, fine, we're saying that it was opioid addiction, and he doesn't, they're both claiming, you know, he's not mentally ill at all.
But it's like this.
So then it's like, this is where really what.
It's narcissism.
Absolutely.
And it's like misogyny. And
then he also is tweeting that he doesn't believe in all of Trump's, you know,
he's
views
like,
on
I don't
things.
agree with him.
Yeah.
But they're the same in that the way they view celebrity, and that you have to be loud and gregarious and kind of egregious for people to notice you. Like his, you were reading earlier a quote about Obama didn't take a meeting with me.
Yeah. On the same Hot 97 interview, he mentioned that he had reached out to Obama for years and couldn't get anything done, but Trump gave me a meeting. And I think a lot of it is just him seeking approval and attention, and Trump's giving him that.
Yeah, and I think so. There was this, The Root has this part of, it's called Very Smart Brothers, that we were reading earlier. And it's it's about Kanye's politics, or what happens when you don't read books. And it really, you read it and it's still lighthearted.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's like I hate to be like, it's a fun read, but it's also
comes from the perspective of another Kanye apologist, and he phrased it in the way as someone who still owns land on Yeezy Island.
Exactly. And so we were like laughing because we're like, oh, this is like a good article to explore our own feelings.
Right.
And he was also excited, like us, when Kanye came back to Twitter. And he was like, oh my God, this is so fun.
Yeah. You know, 3 days ago, it was like, this is great. This is great Twitter content. Everyone's making jokes of it. Everyone's relating to it. Everyone's like, yeah, it almost seemed like it was self-care tweets, you know?
Right. Well, even so, that's what he says, like this, Damon Young. And he's like, holy shit, I said to myself while eating a plum and some fried rice. Ye is back. Good music is back. My property values are... And then he tweeted, I love the way Candace Owens thinks, which first made me ask, who the fuck is Candace Owens? Considering his obsession with fashion, he like assumes it's some person.
Right.
And then he realizes, but I Googled her and learned that she's the latest iteration of black women who found some sort of status and relevance by existing as far-right attack dog on black people, which is like, how do you support someone like that and then say Black Lives Matter?
Exactly, yeah. And then I guess what Kanye is saying is that it's forward thinking.
But Kanye is also someone who says things like, and has said things in the past, which is like, why are we forgiving of this? Like, maybe because we're not black that we were quick to forgive. He's like, oh, black people like put too much emphasis on slavery. We just need to like get out of that mindset. It's like, okay, but there's so many like forms of institutionalized racism that you can't ignore. And also as a black man, just saying that other black people just like are focusing on that too much, or like, what is he doing for black people? What is he doing for Chicago? He says Obama didn't do anything.
One of his major platforms, especially recently, is that he's really worried about violence in Chicago, his hometown. And he said Obama didn't do anything, and he's saying that Trump is going to. I don't know what gives him that idea.
Yeah, but it's like, you haven't lived there in so long. But one quick thing while we're on this article is there's like this clear like link between Kanye and Trump, and just that they're very similar personalities.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like what you said hits perfectly. Like, why are we so forgiving of him, but we're not forgiving of Taylor if she like didn't vocally anti-Trump, but he's vocally pro-Trump.
Right.
But he has this like anti-intellectualism like Trump, which we were talking about the voters, and his thing is that like we're giving him too much credit and trying to understand him too much and thinking that he's like existing in this other place or whatever. But he's very much made aware of us that he doesn't read anything. He doesn't seem to consume anyone else's art. So I feel like we're just getting to a point where we're like trying to explain. Oh, there's literally a bug flying around. That's why I'm swatting a little gnat. We're trying to explain away everything he does. Like we're giving him too much credit in doing that. And it's almost like we're starting to sound like the people who defend Trump. We're like, he don't really mean that. He doesn't mean that.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. We just did a pause and I was like,
how easy it is.
Yeah. And here I go, apologizing again. It's like, no, I think Kanye is just a bad guy.
Who thinks he's a good guy.
I don't know
if he thinks he's a good, he thinks he's like a truther.
And he thinks he's the only one who's seeing things clearly.
Mm-hmm. Which doesn't help when people are like backing him up, like Chance the Rapper, saying, right. Oh, he's still the same, yay from this, he's still the same, yay from that, he's still the George Bush black people, yay. And then Kim's like, which we referenced earlier, and you said like, he's forward thinking, he is the future.
Yeah, Kim said that we're all going to be praising his ideas later in life, in the future.
But it's like, what are his ideas? Like, if you look at his tweets, like, they seem like genius poetry because they're crazy.
They're just either vaguely inspirational or talking about, did you see the ones about his business?
Which ones? Where he's how successful it's gonna be the best.
It's gonna be the
greatest. This
is the same like business that cost him $45 million. It's delusional,
but we also don't know. Remember when he made those like outrageous claims
about
the business, and people were like, "There's like no way that's possible," because
right.
like, and then he's like, "Oh, this is what I mean. I've overall invested."
Right.
Also, I'm sorry, we're on his Twitter page, and the Make America Great Again hat that was signed, it literally looks like Donald Trump's like lie detector test.
It does, yeah.
Twitter says Kanye West did not.
Indecipherable.
Oh my God, this is. I am very curious about how the alt-right, the fascists, are thinking about Kanye right now. Because he throws in this like, because like, do you really want Kanye? It also just shows like the danger of anti-intellectualism.
Yeah, I mean, that's circling back to that article that we were talking about earlier, that Kanye doesn't read books. Is that he's confusing anti-intellectualism with forward thinking, or being the only person who's thinking, who's being real.
And it's also like when you are so anti-intellectual, and I get like that's different than being like anti-elitist. It's like you're closed off to processes that are like important to like understanding truth and understanding facts. And it's like thinking about that whole like CNN campaign that they recently did. It's like people will try and tell you this is a banana, but it is not. And it's like just the picture of an apple. It's kind of like that, where Kanye is like almost getting this like Fox News mentality where it's like, I'm the, like just literally pulling things out of his ass and be like, this is the truth because I feel it. And you're like, that doesn't make it the truth. That's an emotion. That's not the truth.
And there's a line in this article where it says that he conflates contrarianism with bravery.
Yes.
And I think
and that's dangerous.
It really is.
Because like playing the devil's advocate, you're still the damn devil. I think Courtney said that to me earlier this weekend. Did she?
Because I was really reacting to that. I love that.
No, I know. I don't even feel like I fully processed it when she said it. Courtney Roxanne Bush. Anita Grape on Twitter.
Read her Twitter, you guys. It's genius.
It's like, that's totally, it's like, you can be contrarian
with
to help
purpose.
see all sides of a point of being like, hey, I think you're missing a point. I'm going to push you there. Or just to like fully see things or whatever. But
you're just doing it because
to start shit, to get attention. That's makes you
when you look back on it, everything he's ever done is just for attention. He craves.
What was the tweet you said earlier about like somebody sue me? Why am I blanking?
So after the famous video, which was supposed to be this like huge, I mean, he clearly did it with the intent to cause huge amounts of drama. And honestly, I think it was like a week-long news cycle and it was done. He tweeted, can somebody sue me already? # I'll wait. And then he ended up deleting the tweet because he was trying to provoke something and it just didn't happen for him.
Yeah, because because he only did it to start shit.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just giving pause because I just received a text from friend of the pod, Peyton, Dean Baronian, who just sent me a text out of the blue. I'm so pissed at Kanye. I'm about to start a world war.
He was tweeting at Kanye on Twitter. Oh, no, where one tweets today. These mezcal drinks, Roz, dang.
Literally, we've like only had 2 and we ate like a full meal. I ate like half a bag of chips. I forgot to mention that I literally opened the bag of chips on the street, and when you text, you're like, oh, which phone is yours? And I was like, this is going to be so embarrassing. Sarah's going to be at the thing, and I'm like literally just like walking down the street with like in my work clothes with everything in a huge ass bag of tortilla chips. I'm like,
girl, live your life.
No, I know, but I was just like, it's not my look. So outside of my chip eating and our mezcal, in the fun, we are Kanye apologists. We are. But, and I'm sure there's plenty of stuff we skipped over, like the Cosby tweet.
Yeah, he tweeted long ago that Bill Cosby was innocent. And I just think if that had come out of almost anyone else's mouth, it would be like.
But I think the trials were, this was during the trials, right? Like it wasn't very long ago. But it was long enough ago when he wasn't. I mean, you go on his Twitter right now. It's like, I mean, he's done for the night because he was watching the Cavs game.
Yes. Thank God for the Cavs.
Thanks, LeBron. But it's easy to I mean, but that, it's like, again, we're like, why do we just like, when that happened, it's like, Kanye.
yeah, Kanye, come on. Where it's like, no, that's such a horrible, horrible thing to say. And everyone else, we would be like,
you'd be like, you're canceled.
Yeah.
You're canceled. And don't worry, if everyone's like, what about Shania Twain? We'll talk about her. We've got a lot more possibly next week.
That's good.
But I think, with Kanye, it's truly like pick a day when he's like active on social media or he's on a press tour. I don't even know if he does press tours anymore because he's so like the Beyonce kind of level where it's like you don't need to.
All right.
But we were noticing that John Legend has like been tweeting.
Yeah, in the process of us recording this, more news keeps happening. And John Legend sort of, I don't know if it was subtly, but it was probably...
I think it was pretty heavy-handed.
Yeah, heavy-handed.
Heavy-handed.
Oh, God.
It was pretty clearly directed at Kanye.
Right. And it sort of discussed how, well...
It's honestly a beautiful way to do it. It is.
Honestly, you should read it. It's really, he phrases it beautifully. But he's saying that's nice that you can imagine a world without racism, but that is not the world that most of us are living in. Yeah,
and he like hits on notes, which I feel like is something that like we're glazing over, or I hope that it doesn't seem like we are, but we're also permissive of it because we're like, I feel like when you talk about celebrity, we're so often imagining their reality, where it's like, oh, well, none of this really matters. It's like, none of this matters to them. Like, he can imagine that, like, Obama did nothing for Chicago and that Trump saying we just need to, like, essentially continually militarize Chicago is a good thing. It's not. You know what I mean? Like, him just thinking that he can say whatever he wants, it has no consequence.
Right.
But it doesn't have any consequences to his life, but it has consequences to everyone else's lives. Just like Donald Trump. Donald Trump can say whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah.
And nobody takes him seriously, and nobody takes Kanye, or we don't. I don't know.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it was kind of the way I felt before the election. It was like clearly Trump was an asshole, and he was just talking, but I never really thought anything would come from it. And yeah, I guess we underestimate the impact that these, madmen can have. And, we look at it like it doesn't matter, and everyone realizes that it's not influential, but that's not true.
And well, it's also like important to note that it's like so many people like myself, at least I know, is like, well, Donald Trump was like a registered Democrat. He's donated to all these Democratic causes. He's like pro-choice. Then he's saying all these things like he's the ultimate actor. He's the ultimate entertainer. He's going to do whatever he has to do to make a quick buck.
Right.
So, but then like as it went on, it was like, no, take him at his word. Like take him at his word. And so like we're getting to that point with Kanye where it's like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
And yet here I am still reluctant to believe it. But it's like, through talking through this, it's time, Roz.
Well, just even saying this, all this stuff, like I think it is time to just like start taking him seriously. There was a thing I retweeted on Twitter from the New York Times in 1922. And the Times is, so 1922, they're talking about the rise of Hitler. And this poll quote from the New York Times is, but several reliable, well-informed sources confirm the idea that Hitler's anti-Semitism was not so genuine or violent as it sounded, and that he was merely using anti-Semitic propaganda as bait to catch, it's really blurry, because it's like a scan, a microfiche, to catch masses of followers and keep them aroused, enthusiastic, in line for the time when his organization is perfected and sufficiently powerful to be employed effectively for political purposes. Which is what a lot of people thought about his anti-immigrant stance, anti-everyone stance. It's like, no, he's just, but also the fact it's like you're trying to garner support that way. That doesn't, like, we should be like, that's messed up. Like, there's no right way. You catch more bees with honey, You got to go out with a lot of love, not a lot of hate. And I just like,
and
people underestimate this. They're like, oh, Trump doesn't mean any of it. Oh my God, people who are relating it to Nazi and fascist Germany, like that's a stretch. It's like, no, it's not.
It's not at all.
No, it's not. And this is kind of just one of those reminders of like, not comparing necessarily Kanye to Hitler, but comparing Kanye to Trump, and that they're both celebrities. They both say whatever they want.
Both, I guess, sort of maybe start out with these ideas or these claims to gain more notoriety and then end up just causing damage with them and fully.
Right, because people, it's like they're both populists. They love when they're like, they feed off of the people, which is funny when Kim was like, he's not gonna do what's popular. It's like, yes, he is. He's gonna do what's contrarian, but is also incredibly popular by the silent majority.
Right.
Silent majority being these like racist, homophobic, xenophobic haters.
And the thing is, Kanye hates Kanye haters so much.
But one of his tweets today was about like fansism in a bit of word, and like his fans are just fans of themselves, which like this would sort of sound encouraging, but you use the word like manipulative, and I just never, it's so obvious, this direct link between Kanye and Trump. Like, of course they're like bedfellows.
Well, they both have dragon's blood. Is that what it was?
Yeah, they both have dragon's blood.
They're brothers.
And that's also like a Charlie Sheen, like the dragon's blood.
Yeah.
Or his was tiger blood.
He's begging for comparison there.
Like it's not even worth exploring. It's just not.
Here's my question though: is that in these rants, he's got 2 albums coming out and he's producing one for Nas. Yeah. Through this, are we saying we're not going to listen to them?
I don't know if I will. I mean, I have Apple Music. I think you have Spotify. We can listen to them without necessarily paying or supporting them. So I'm not going to but I've avoided Chris Brown for a long time, and I think I can avoid Kanye. But I have, it's like I have to stand by my principles, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole point of this whole conversation is what does it mean if we're like, we don't forgive him, but here I am listening to his next album.
Yeah. I just keep going back to that Roxane Gay of being like, article she did from Marie Claire, it's like, nobody's art is worth the suffering of anyone. And it's like, even though like, oh, I don't see the direct, it's just that whole Trumpian idea of like, your words have damage, and they carry weight and they matter.
Okay, so let's.
And we're coming for your legacy, Kanye.
Yeah, so usually wrap these things up with Jackson by saying, so what are we going to do? How are we going to move forward?
Yeah.
And I guess what we've agreed on is we're going to do our best to not support.
Mm-hmm. And also not be quick to dismiss, of being like, just not play into the, and I feel like a lot of people today, it was like a quick turn on a dime. It was like, okay, this is no longer fun.
Right.
Like this was fun for 12 hours. And
I'm
now
actually curious if a lot of the celebrities have deleted their tweets of support from earlier.
Probably. I mean,
somebody check Busy Phillips.
Somebody on Busy Phillips. There's probably a think piece on BuzzFeed. I just think supporting a retweet is a affirmation of support. I just think this really reiterates. Thanks, Mezcal.
We have so much to thank Mezcal for tonight.
I know, but it just brings home that education is really important, and people knowing facts are important.
You guys, I think Busy deleted. I can't find. I feel like she had quote tweeted him a lot and been like, "I love this tweet."
Girlfriend's smart and she's always on her phone. She's done.
My God, we did. I think you hinted at this earlier. You wanted to talk about the way that Kanye changed Kim.
Yeah.
Was that her fashion thing that he
Yeah, her fashion thing. And I also felt like he, in my opinion, when they got together, he pushed her to be more political, which I think is so interesting.
That's so interesting. Yeah.
And I think why I really believe that they're in love and believe in their relationship is because since they came together, I've never seen her be more confident in herself, in her brand, in her opinions. And
that's
she
so
seems
true.
She's they got together, she got rid of her style. She found new people. It wasn't just people that were working with her family. She's like, wait, do I even like these things? It's like Jake going to college and really having a question. I feel like slow it off.
I literally have no idea what you just said.
Oh, I said it's like when Jake went to college and had a question if he still liked Hillary Duff.
Oh, okay.
And I was like really taken aback by it. I felt like Kris Jenner at that point where I was like, this is the family that built you.
Well, Jake found his way, thank God.
He found his way back to the family, but Kim found her voice.
Yeah, and it's sad that came from.
It did, that it came from a man, but I think
he has such unwavering support for her. Anything she does right, anything she does wrong, he's there.
But even, I think what's interesting in looking at these tweets is that she's clearly like, yo. Check yourself, like you need to clarify.
The phone call one is very, yes. And but, I mean, I love that she is still having independent thought there and seeing clearly and being like, Kanye, this is not what you're trying to say. I don't think she needed to defend him to the extent she did, because I think it would have totally been fine when like Kanye clarify and then she didn't need to comment.
No, but she defended her man. She stand by her man.
But she did even go to say, I don't even agree with Kanye.
She does. And I mean, I do think
I don't agree with his political beliefs.
Which is like, it's cool to have like differing opinions from the people you're dating or you're married to.
Yeah.
But Janelle Monáe was on Hot 97 and was like, I'm all about independent thoughts and independent thinkers and free thinkers. But the moment you say something that the oppressor uses in their favor, then you're ultimately against the oppressed.
It's to the detriment of somebody else.
Right. Then it's like, nope.
You don't get to think that way.
No, then that's harmful.
Yeah.
It is harmful.
And yeah, I guess we've gotten to the point that Kanye's being harmful. And that was a lot of John Legend's point too. Like,
yeah. We'll have to post some of those John Legend because it's beautiful. I don't want to let's shine a light on the good people doing stuff like John Legend and not.
Mm-hmm.
And him, we'll even post some stuff about Kim Kardashian West, KK Dub.
She's doing it. I'm proud of her. I really am.
And Courtney was in front of Congress about cosmetics.
I saw that. Yeah.
So
we love the Kardashians, which we've all.
You know, there are
been questioning ourselves there about that today.
But this is more important to get into the Kanye of it all. So Kanye needs to check his privilege, check what it means to be a black. And it was like, oh, we're white and we're saying what it checks to be black.
Right.
But it's like representation matters. And when you're denying the voice of your damn community.
Right. Especially when but yeah. And it's
just like
he's made all of these points about different black artists being like not
excluded,
getting the acknowledgement they deserve. And it's just like, then what are you doing? Where do you...
But that's the thing is, I think it's just the artistry of it. It's like, do you actually care about the struggle? Do you actually care about the like African-American struggle? Like what, I truly go back to like, what have you done for Chicago?
Yeah.
Like I feel like Chance the Rapper does a lot for Chicago. Chicago found a new son. Next. Bye, Kanye. You and Shania Twain should go perform on Dead Celebrity Island because your careers are dead.
That's the thing, though, is that I think Shania's career might be dead, and I don't think Kanye's will be.
Which we need, like, why? Sexism, misogyny, patriarchy.
And because Kanye's a known kook, because he's been like this the whole time, and Shania hasn't. And it's such misguided thinking. It's so unfair.
Well, do we have any final thoughts on Kanye?
I think it's just that we need to stop making excuses for him.
Yep.
And
take what people say at face value. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I was, yeah.
Like, if you say these good things, sure, but like if we're like actually keeping score, which is like unhealthy to do in relationships.
Right.
But
we're not dating Kanye West.
We're not dating Kanye. We're financially supporting Kanye as fans. You support the livelihood of these artists. He's done a lot
just
more.
Just because you do, one positive thing.
Yeah, it doesn't outweigh all the negative.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It doesn't. It's a good lesson for all of us.
It is. He's doing more harm than good.
Mm-hmm. So Kanye,
and you know what? I bet Scooter Braun feels relieved.
Scooter Braun has never slept better.
I know.
He's like, I was worried about Justin, but we got him back to Hillsong.
No, I think I want to thank you for having me on the pod, and thank you for this
Just a gracious,
beautiful dinner.
Gracious guest.
Jackson, I'm sure your viewers or your listeners miss you. Don't worry, guys. He'll be back soon.
You were an incredible co-host, and you did set a high standard, and I had a great time with you.
Oh, thanks. And we will say, when we were listening back to some of our parts, do you guys think we have extremely similar voices?
Yeah. Can you differentiate who's speaking? Like, is this hard for people? Let us know.
Let us know.
Rate, review, subscribe, comment on our Instagrams, tweet at us. Nobody sent us their brackets.
I did.
You did?
Oh, that's why I sent you an email.
You sent me. I never got your email. Me? Oh my God.
You haven't been checking the podcast email.
I literally was checking it last week and I didn't see it. So I'll recheck that. We'll post that. Now I'm all flustered. We will be more active on our social media, respond to our emails. Thanks for listening. Tweet at us, correct us. We forgive you podcast at gmail.com. We forgive you podcast on Apple Podcasts, or we're just We Forgive You. And Twitter, I think we're just We Forgive You podcast.
Thanks as usual to Karen.
Thank you, Karen Lee,
and Sarah Falkman. Yeah,
and we haven't, because we're recording a little differently, we haven't seen the art yet, but I'm sure it's incredible, and I want a t-shirt of it. But that would be counterintuitive to what we're trying to do here.
Right.
Okay,
here we go again.
Back to the start. Well, thanks, Sarah. Let's drink some more mezcal.
Absolutely. Have a good weekend, everybody.